Good morning, Transpac race fans. This is Dobbs Davis from Seahorse Magazine giving you the July 19th race analysis report. As you can see by our tracker here, we've got everybody more than halfway down the track on their final approach into the islands. Fado, of course, back here on their way back to the coast after their dismasting a few days ago. Our big news here in Hawaii was that we had our first finisher. Lending Club, the Orma 73 Trimaran, has finished the race. They did not quite break the record. They were 2.5 hours out of a record time that was set in 1997 by an 86-foot catamaran called Explorer. Their elapsed time was 5 days, 11 hours, 52 minutes, and 33 seconds, so about 2.5 hours off record pace. Their reports were quite interesting. They said that they hit a lot of debris out there. There's a lot of debris stories coming from the boats now. Showing that the tsunami of a few years ago in Japan has really taken its toll out there in the North Pacific. Some damage on the centerboard foil of Lending Club caused about a 10-hour delay, they reckon, in their timing. So that what inhibited them a bit. Also, a little less than normal breeze. Usually the Transpac averages about 16 knots of wind throughout its length. It has a reputation of being quite a windy race, but in fact, historically, it's been around 16 knots or so. The folks on Lending Club reckon that their average was more closer to 13 or 14 knots. So just that little bit of margin kept them out of record territory, but we congratulate them on being first to finish. So here we are going to, I'm going to actually switch over to the live tracker just to show you where everybody is here in real time. Next coming into Hawaii will be Manatea. We reckon they will be at about 11 a.m. local time, so that's about 3 hours from now. Manatea out here is the Seastream 650, the 65-foot boat that's been leading the charge in Division 8. They started this race Monday a week ago, and we're out in front really the entire time. So they'll be actually the first monohull to finish, not the first in elapsed time, of course, but we'll be the first one across the line, barring any unforeseen circumstances, hopefully not. But right now they're going 8.5 knots. They're out in the Molokai Channel off of this northeast point of Molokai here, and they'll be coming into the finish at Makapu and Diamond Head just in the next few hours. So that's the story as it happens here in Hawaii. Next in, we anticipate being Ragamuffin 100. They're going 12.5 knots now. Not particularly fast for this 100-foot boat. We've had various reports of what they've been going through in the last day or two, but the breeze out here in the trades is actually pretty good. 13 knots is what the grid files are showing out here. As they get closer to the islands, that actually increases a bit. Now it's shown here as only being 9 or 10 knots, but just looking out the window, there's pretty good breeze out on the channel. So as they approach, they should speed up a little bit. Ragamuffin 2 will not be really close to the record time set a few years ago by Alfa Romeo, so that monohull record remains safe. But nonetheless, we expect Ragamuffin to be the fastest monohull out in this fleet. So let's scroll out a bit. Actually, I want to show you one other thing, which is here. As the boats get within 100 miles of their finish, their finishing positions, they will revert over into the tracker, into a new tracker that does go live. It doesn't have a 6-hour delay. So here we can see Ragamuffin in the data that I just gave you from the fleet live tracker. But this is one that's available to you and the public. That comes up on the home page on the right side below the Transpac race logo. There's this special finishing tracker that goes live. So that helps anyone here in Hawaii or anyone following from the mainland to get a little bit more of an idea and fine-tune their ETAs. So we urge everybody to make use of that. Now, I'm going to go back here to the public side and just kind of take a little bit of an overview of this race. It's been an interesting race. The normal, I say normal, of course, there's nothing ever normal in sailboat racing. You always go places, and everybody says it's never like that here. But I'll say the classic Transpac track in the race is, of course, to sag off to the south in these northerly winds and go as fast as you possibly can, and then as you get lifted, typically you come back up across the Rumline track and then jibe and come into Hawaii. What's interesting about this year is this whole group of boats here to the south, well off to the south. Nobody's ever crossed up north of the Rumline in this group. They've always stuck south of the track. You can see them right down here. Now, that begs the question, why are they doing that? Those looking at the wind arrows can quickly answer that question. The green colored arrows and smaller icons for these wind vectors from the Predict Wind program in these grid files shows that it's lighter wind. And so the reason that these boats are sagging down into the down to even as low as, I mean, look at this. They've crossed the 20th parallel, actually gone south of the finish. This is Maserati. They've really dove south in hunt for breeze. This is a bold move, but they're doing whatever they can. Maserati, Volvo 70, they need a lot of wind speed to really get that boat moving. As soon as the breeze gets down around 13 or 14, it's pretty tough going for them. So they've opted to really dig south here and get into more pressure. Hope that hasn't traded off into more distance so that they can make their final approach into the islands in good, strong trades. Maybe they hope to be able to kind of leapfrog across the channels and the traditionally strong winds that go between these channels. But this group 2 over here, you can see they're almost following kind of the same strategy, staying very much to the south into those stronger breezes. If we look here at the MSL, sorry, this is mean surface level pressure on the European model. Hawaii here, start over here. We'll zoom in to have a little bit closer look. You can see the isobaric pattern doesn't really change that much. A little bit of divergence if you believe these contouring. Sometimes the contouring programs make things look a little bit funny. It's doubtful that the pressure changes with that level of regularity. That's just in the programs. However, when we look at the wind speeds, and this is predicted for right about now, you can definitely see that the grid files and some of the position reports as well are bearing this out, that there's a field here due east of the islands that just has more pressure than those that are back up here along the Rumline. So if we look a little bit further out in time, we see that field in here persists. It looks like it migrates a little bit. It looks like it gets very light indeed up to the north. So this really helps account for why everybody is really trying to stay down to the south as much as they can without throwing away too much distance, just to stay in the stronger pressure. Looking at our daily standings today, the Reichel Pugh 74 Wizard is taking the lead in Division 1. This is really our strongest contender for the Barn Door Trophy. That's the trophy awarded to the fastest elapsed time for a monohull boat that doesn't use power. So Wizard looking quite good for that. But they're also doing very well now in corrected time and ORR scoring. Ragamuffin, Maserati, they're really first to finish contenders, though they won't be doing quite as well in the corrected times, and we don't expect that really to change much. Division 2, BCOM, these guys have been very, very well sailed throughout the race. They've been leading charge amongst the 52s and 51s, and I think KLC Bengal is actually a 53, but these 50s, fast 50s group here has been led almost the entire race by BCOM. Now that's starting to reflect in their corrected times as well. This is Japanese-owned and sailed, but with some Kiwi help. So a mixed Kiwi-Japanese team on BCOM. They're doing well. And the Mexican team on Vincitori, I'm also impressed with them. They're hanging in and doing very well in this very competitive group. Now, one thing to point out, Natalie J., in fact, I just noticed that. Now, these are 0600 Pacific time positions from this morning. But when you scroll down, and this is, by the way, gets posted on the website, we see here Natalie J. says they give a little bit of weather reports. True wind speed 17 knots. It's quite nice. However, they say the bowsprit's cracked. So that's going to be tough because the spinnaker tack hangs on the bowsprit, of course. If if it's cracked, my guess is they're going to be nursing that along or not going to be pushing the boat as hard as it could or should be. So that might account for their drop back in the standings. Their speed looks pretty good on average, 10.7, but it's not at the 11.5s that you see the other boats. So we feel badly for the guys on Natalie J. I'm sure they're working through whatever options they have for maybe trying to effect a repair and get them up to speed. Division 3, Pyewacket, leading the charge as they have for most of this race, both in corrected and elapsed time. They were challenged just a couple of days ago by Alchemy. We can look at their positions here. We'll tick off some of the other boats and classes and examine them in a little more detail. So here's Pyewacket here. We can zoom in a little bit here just to help illustrate. But yeah, so they're very much playing a tactical game here. Alchemy has a little bit of leverage on them to the south. They were challenging them pretty effectively 24 hours or so ago, but Pyewacket's still maintaining that lead. So this will be very much a chess game coming into their final approach in the islands. We'll go back over to Division 4. Criminal Mischief, this boat, Reichel Pugh 45, very fast boat, built in carbon in New Zealand, and very much configured for offshore sailing. They're doing quite well. You can see they're almost a half a knot to a knot faster than most of the competitors in their class, which for this race have mostly been the two Rogers 46s, the Brett Walda 3 and Varuna 46. However, Resolute is a J125. They've come up here into the standings in corrected time, but as you can see, almost a knot slower in actual time. Looking at their positions, Criminal Mischief very much out in front. They'll just be going as fast as they possibly can. They have not sagged down into this deeper zone of higher pressure here, largely because setting up into this race, these were the Thursday starters. Thursday a week and a half ago, they got off to a very light start. Therefore, they stuck close to the track and minimizing the distance. So most of the Division 3, 4, and 5. Division 4, 5, and 6 teams have just simply not gone that far south. They've maintained tracks fairly close to the rum line. So Criminal Mischief now leading that charge. Interesting to see down here Bodacious 4. I've been saying all along the last couple of days, these guys are kind of going for the Hail Mary pass down to the south, trying to get into more pressure, get a little bit of leverage to jibe back across. Their biggest rivals are this boat here, Horizon, very well sailed Santa Cruz 50, two-time class winner in this race. So Bodacious 4 trying to get some kind of leverage on a shift, more pressure, so that when they come back together, they can cross these guys. But and then while they may. And if they are successful at that, that's great. They'll get the elapsed time in that division, but they really need to leg out even more in order to save on corrected time if they want to have that class win. So those guys, they're down here, Division 6. So Horizon still leading that division by a pretty good margin on corrected time. Division 5 still being led by Foyle, the FAR 40, doing a very nice job there. And we'll go a little bit deeper into our first boats, Division 7 and 8 boats. So Division 8, of course, being led by Manatea, not on corrected time, but actual time. Over here, this is really the race to watch, I think, with these guys. The two Japanese teams in leading Division 7, Kyo and 10 Quarter. I've been talking about them for the last week because I think it's really exciting. These guys must have just a really keen rivalry that's all going to be put to the test now. If we go over to watch that live, we'll see just where they are. And we'll kick off some of these. And zooming in, have a little closer look, but yeah, these guys are gonna be locked in, not separated by very much. Let's see, there's 50 miles, so they're probably almost within sight of each other. And of course, as they come in here, these guys are going to be very much duking it out coming into the finish. So it'll be a very interesting remaining 24 hours for these two Japanese teams, and I'm sure quite a celebration for whoever wins. So we wish them best of luck on their final approach. Last and certainly not least, I wanted to go over our HPR class. This is the high performance rule. 9 boats qualified for that in Division 1 and Division 2. These are mostly the 52s along with Bad Pack and Pelagroso. So Bad Pack is leading that division on corrected time, but BCOM second and Vincitori third. So we'll continue to monitor them. This is again based on the same positions that were reported at 0600 Pacific time today. So that's our race report and analysis for the 19th of July. This is Dobbs Davis bringing this to you from Hawaii. Tune in tomorrow morning when we look at a few more finishers and look at a few more boats making their final approach into the finish at Diamond Head. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow.